Welcome to the Books, Beards, Booze podcast, where we talk books, drink booze, and have beards.
All right. As always, I'm Bob of Tales by Bob.
I'm the ass of the podcast, Derek.
I'm still not dead.
Jeez. Well,
Are we sure?
I'm dead inside.
as of
No,
recording
that's
this,
not a good joke. My therapist would not approve.
as of recording
The
this,
Derek doesn't approve.
as of
I'm
recording this
crazy.
podcast, she is alive.
As of this moment.
As of this podcast uploading,
This shining moment.
Yeah.
We're giving
It's
it
on
50. We're
Wednesday.
giving it a
My
50-50.
lab results have not come back yet, so it's questionable.
Well, no, so you probably don't know that you're going to die until the lab results come back.
Well, no, Derek, we're all dying. We're all going to die.
Oh my God, Tanya, no shit.
everything dies.
It's one of the few good songs they had. Yeah.
Everything dies.
So my mom, I'm telling my mom about these palpitations, and she's like,
Why would you tell your mom?
oh, because I'm an idiot. And I was like,
Yeah,
well, I don't
she
know,
is.
man. I think I might just be dying. She's like, you're not dying. And I was like, well, Mom, we're all dying. That's literally what we were born to do, is to die. It's what we're all doing. And she didn't really appreciate that.
That's because
Accurate,
you're,
though.
It's because you're wrong.
It's very nihilistic.
Yeah.
Name one thing besides pooping that literally everybody does.
Breathing.
Ooh.
Hoping and thinking.
And praying.
I was
And
going to say
wishing.
praying because
I don't know what comes next, but
I'm glad we're on the same page, though.
Anyway,
is that from like Bridget Jones or some shit? Or
Fucking
that's
no.
an old Motown song.
Yeah, it's an old song. I know that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, okay, guys.
So
let's-
yeah,
All
this
right,
is
so about them romances.
yeah. So that's what we're talking about this week. We're talking about some of our
What?
favorite romances,
Spoiler, ain't none.
Oh my God.
our favorite
you
romances
salty bitch.
in books. Our best bookly romances.
Romances?
Romance in the Stone.
Gross.
That was a good movie.
I haven't seen it.
I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever seen it.
That's good.
I was just grossing because I can.
Well,
'Cause
so
she's
Tanya is a
spiteful.
robot. So
Yep.
we're
No, she's not. She likes to say she's a robot. She's not a fucking robot.
I have too many feels.
Oh my God, just
no, she's an android.
Ooh, Android 18. That's what I needed. That's what I really wanted my cosplay to be for Dragon Con, but I was too late getting a wig. And you would think that even though I've got blonde hair, it's not blonde enough. And I have like a 5 head, but really for Android 18, you need like a 7 head. So I needed a wig. And literally all the rest of her clothes. The boots and the pants and the denim skirt and the
You could
tiny,
wear all
and the
the
tiny
rest-
blue belt.
Yeah, but like her outfit, I feel like you could pimp that at like every
That's
day.
the thing. That's
Yeah.
why she's the best cosplay, because I don't have to buy anything really fucking weird. Like,
Yeah,
all that
so
stuff is wearable.
So why?
Because I only have a week to get it.
Or well, you've had it because you were talking about doing this for last year's Dragon Con.
Stop with your logic. No
So
one
you've-
wants it.
You've had you've
Get
had
out of your own
Hey,
house.
you know what we should do? We should definitely like not make a decision about things and just kind of keep pushing it
Ooh,
down the
Derek.
road.
Ooh, ow. Ooh, ow. Shots fired. Pow. I'm dead. Keep going.
All right. So
Ow.
we're gonna talk. We're gonna
Fucking
start.
savagery. Shit.
We're gonna start talking about some of our favorite examples of romances, and we're just gonna see where the conversation takes us. There's a couple different directions we can go with
He has
it,
a pee hole.
and we still have the Derposaurus Rex here to award to whoever's talking dumb.
He has a pee hole.
So
So
clearly
Tanya.
the Derposaurus is in
Yeah.
the right hand right now. So.
He knows who loves him most.
So, who wants to start us off talking about a example of a romance that they enjoyed?
I can because I put a fair amount of thought into this.
Yeah.
Because you enjoy relationship building.
I do,
And
but also
romancy
I
things.
get a lot of enjoyment out of a lot of different romantic relationships in books for different reasons, which is what I wrote down for these because all of them don't hit you the same, and I don't appreciate them for the same reasons.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So, like for example, one of them that I do appreciate a lot is in the Wheel of Time, Land and Nynaeve.
Yeah.
And I appreciate them because those are two very strong-willed, strong characters who have very definitive characters that are going to act in a certain way. So it's interesting to see them playing off each other when they're in their romantic situations because they are the only people that can get each other to act differently.
Yeah.
And kind of show a different side of themselves, which I appreciate because otherwise I mean, I always like Lan. Lan's the best. But
Right, yeah.
Nynaeve can get
Real
tough
annoying.
sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see her interact with him sometimes because it softens her in some ways and it lets you see other parts of her as a character and realize, okay, yeah, she can be really infuriating sometimes, but like she's a real character and
Yeah.
like has actual good characteristics.
The woman that they cast as her has a head full of braids.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Why? She tugs her braids. That's her
No, she tugs her braid. It's actually it's a plot point in the fifth book, when she has all the individual braids. I'm hoping that they will let her put all of her hair together.
I
in
made the
one
mistake
braid.
of reading some comments on the casting announcement of Wheel of Time, and it's like, oh my, the people that are just nitpicking this, like the guy who they cast to play Perrin, who I think has a very kind of like serious face, like his face looks very Perrin-ish to me, like
Yeah.
it's like very serious, kind of serious-minded, focused-looking face. Like, well, this guy only weighs like 190 pounds, you know, like he doesn't look bulky like a blacksmith. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, guys, like, okay, they're not going to find a perfect person that fits every person exactly like you envisioned it in the book, because guess what? How you envision it from the book is not always going to match how everyone else envisioned it from the book. Like there are some
Let's
guidelines.
not get sidetracked into this because I have a whole thing about the fact that you're wrong about this, and let's not go into that because we're focusing on the romance thing. So, but yeah, I like that because
We can talk about that later.
a lot of different romances just bring different things out. So one of the ones that I appreciate is that one because I don't want to say either of them really soften each other.
Yeah.
Because they don't get too soft.
No.
Because they're both very hard characters. But it's nice to see them,
Humanized of sorts.
to act. You know that they act certain ways at all times. And then when it comes to each other, you see things diverge and you're like, oh, shit. So this is like they actually care about each other because they're doing very uncharacteristic things.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
Okay. Tanya, do you have one you wanted to?
I mean, I really only have one.
All right, well, let's go ahead and do your one.
Okay, great. So I've read plenty of books that have like relationships in them, but a lot of it is stuff kind of like Paper Magician, which yes, there's a romance, but it's like nauseating because of reasons, not because of the romance itself, but because of just like the way it's put together or the characters themselves. But so the one that is on my Goodreads that I got reminded of was Ciri and Sisebron in Warbreaker.
Yeah.
So, at first there's this like, oh, you're supposed to be the God King. I'm scary. Wait just a minute. Hold up now.
Yeah.
Hold on.
You're actually not a bad person. I kind of think I like you, question mark.
That was a very believable.
Yeah, just like that slow build of like they're so weirdly put together, but then just like how their relationship forms and grows felt really natural and felt very caring and not just like
Nice.
Yes. Yeah.
So I haven't read this.
Yeah.
So is it kind of like in your opinion, like what you appreciate is it kind of feels like a realistic representation of how like an arranged marriage could come to be like a thing where people care about each other? Because like people kind of get put together and then they learn to love each other kind of thing.
It is technically an arranged
it's
marriage,
yeah.
but it's very like once you get into it, it's super unconventional.
Right. I know.
But
I just that kind of the idea of two people that they don't really want it, and then they kind of come to appreciate each other, and it kind of grows from that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I guess, kind of like that. But not necessarily because it's like an arranged marriage working out, but just, and I know you're going to talk later about Emergency Contact, but just the realism, I guess, of it, and where you could be like, no, that's kind of how relationships actually kind of happen. That like slow, tentative, like reaching out to each other and be like, oh wait, you're slowly learning things about each other, and then you're like, oh fuck, wait, I think I love you, dude.
I think I'm kind of into this.
Yeah, I think I'm really into you. And then he writes on his chalkboard, I think I'm really into you too.
Yeah.
He didn't have a tongue. He got ripped out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember you mentioning that. I was like,
So-
chalkboard?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we might have mentioned all of the other things. Did not realize, like, does he have, like, one hung around his neck and he just, like, writes on it and turns it around? And like,
It's a fucking Etch-a-Sketch and just shakes it. But no, I enjoyed that because, like, you know, towards the end, well, at the end, you know, like, she gets kidnapped and he fucking beast modes out and, like, saves the day kind of thing. And it was just,
Yeah.
it was really awesome.
Oh, that was a good one. I'm going to say my favorite romance in a fantasy book was in Swords Point.
I still need to read that. I think I bought it, but I don't remember.
It's Alec and Saint Veer. I forget his first name, but it's a swordsman and this like quasi-suicidal scribe guy.
Relatable.
The two of them, they like Saint Veer is the best swordsman in the city, and
What's his name?
Saint Veer, Saint Veer,
Is it Saint?
ST like that's his last name.
Oh,
his last name is
okay.
Saint Veer.
I was like, that's some.
Oh yeah, no. It's
Like, yeah, I'm a fucking saint.
It's like Richard Saint Veer or something like that.
Okay, cool. I was like, whoa, okay.
But then, like, so Alec is, he's a drunk. He's intensely self-destructive. He picks fights with people knowing that he'll lose, but he knows that Richard will step in and probably kill them for him, kind of deal. Like, it's not a healthy relationship by any stretch of the imagination, but it comes across as very real. And at the end of the book, some things happen that you kind of realize the actual depths of the romance and why Alec is so self-destructive and yada yada yada, and kind of throws some stuff into perspective that just really ties it all together. And it's like, oh, my feels. Oh.
So sweet.
Yeah. So, but everyone should read Swords Point. It's just a fabulous fucking book, Ellen Kushner, and it's got a pretty cool little self-destructive romance arc in it. So
Great.
yeah,
Third.
just as romantic as Romeo and Juliet.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
yeah.
So
What else are you gonna do when you're 16 and in love? Just kill yourself.
Have heart palpitations for
you know what? Since we brought that up, I'm going to skip down my list and go to a different one.
okay.
So, on the concept of stupid kids in love, I really appreciated the depiction of Fit Chivalry and Molly in the Farseer trilogy. I think that's the first trilogy. Written by,
Robin Hobb.
thank you. How do I forget the name of practically my favorite author?
it happens.
I don't fucking know.
It happens.
I just had a mind.
Ooh, yeah, your face was like, the fuck is this?
Yeah. Because you're
Oh,
like...
you
it's-
earned a derpy for that one.
Thanks,
There
I
you go.
appreciate that. All right. Derp.
How have you and I just passed that back and forth, and Bob has yet to earn
Because
a
he
derp?
never admits that he's a derp.
Excellence, 'cause I am nonstop excellence.
Incorrect. But I really liked their romantic arc because it's very well established stupid kid romance where it's like, because I mean it does build. It doesn't just like come out of nowhere because they were
Right.
friends when they were little and stuff like that. But once it becomes a romantic relationship, they are making horrible, terrible decisions that are going to get them into enormous amounts of trouble, and they just do it anyways.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I get that. Yeah, that's a dumb, but it's also like they're, I don't know, 16, 17 at the time. So it's like, yep, okay, yep, that sounds about right. That's awful. You're fucking up.
Y'all
but
are the
that's-
worst.
Yeah,
Okay,
this
cool.
is awful. Please don't do this.
Yeah.
Oh no, you just can't listen to people. You can't fucking listen to anybody. But yeah, so I appreciate that because it was a good representation of the misguided young lovers.
Yeah.
Is the way I look at it. Yeah.
Another one I really like is in Legend. Mm-hmm. I cannot remember the character's name. One guy becomes a Count of Brass. I remember that.
I need to read that again at some
The
point.
daughter of the person in charge of Dros Delmont. How can I remember the fucking fort, but I can't remember the characters? Whatever. That's who I am as a person. But anyway.
Just embrace that. I'll give you the derp.
Yeah, so it's like Reynard or something like that. It's some roguish guy. Anyway, so one thing I really hate is when these people seemingly fall in love for no reason, and it's like they fall in love for plot reasons, not character reasons. And so a lot of times I just don't like the representations. It's like, well, these people fell in love real fucking fast. Well, these two do fall in love pretty fast, but there's a different component there in that they are like, there's a siege. They are probably going to die soon, and they go through a lot of heavy shit together pretty quickly early on, and it came across as fairly believable, and they seemed like good matches for like they were very much couples that brought out the best in each other. Like they were like, he was very flawed, roguish, kind of shady guy until he gets with her, and she kind of brings out his
noble qualities,
kind of deal, and he kind of gets her to loosen up a little bit.
Yeah,
it worked out really well. So that was one I really liked.
Yeah, since you put it like that, my next is one that anytime I've always thought about romances in books, I always forget this one, and I'm going to preface this with never finished the series, so I don't know if this goes sideways, or I don't even remember if these characters like die or anything, but like at the point that I remember reading to, I appreciated this relationship, which is from the Sword of Truth books. It's Addie the Bone Lady, I think was her name, and Zedekis Zul Zorander.
Yeah, which is a great name.
It's an amazing name. But the reason I like that is because they're both... basically, it's a romance between very, very old people. Like, they have been around a really long time. They've had incredibly difficult lives and then been alone for long periods of time, and then they just kind of come into contact with each other. They have a lot in common, but they're also very different people, and it's really charming to see them be like coming to support each other at this late point in their lives where they're like, fuck it, man, I just need somebody that I appreciate and enjoy, and you're it. Like it's really cool to see like older individuals that just kind of get together and they make a really good team.
Right.
So it's really
I know
fun.
I have read stuff like that in the past. I can't quite remember it off the top of my head, but I know I've read that, like the two old people like getting together and enjoyed it, and I just can't remember a specific example.
And it's I really like it because like if I remember,
because old people sex turns you on.
It doesn't, but it's funny in that
Hey, you're going to be an
context.
old person who maybe has sex one day.
Let's not get into that. But it's funny.
You ever think about your meemaw banging? You know that like STDs
why
and stuff
why
is
must
like,
you ruin this
hey,
episode?
I'm ruining everybody's. You know, STDs and HIV is like a huge thing in nursing home populations because they don't get pregnant, so they don't use condoms.
So I don't
it just runs
have,
rampant.
my grandma lives by herself. Thank you very much.
Well, then Meemaw is having gentleman callers or female callers or
even.
both callers.
His grandmother is a saint.
Yeah, she's an actual saint.
Saint Meemaw.
Saint Meemaw.
But no, I really like it because, like, I mean, Zed is very roguish in his actions when they meet, and he's basically like he has this. So, have you read the first book? I feel like you did.
I've read part of it, and I've watched the shitty show.
Yeah,
for a
God,
bit.
I don't want to talk about that. But he has like this wizard's rock where he stands on it and he can like, I don't even remember exactly what it does, but I know they talk about like how amazing it feels. And he's like, when they meet for the first time, he's just kind of thrown in this situation, and he kind of like wakes up in her house, and he's like, I don't really know who you are, but you're an older lady and you're helping me and stuff like that. So then as they get comfortable together in that first scene, he's like, all right, I'm kind of into this. This is working back and forth here. So he's like, so you ever
What you doing later?
Yeah, you ever been on a Wizard's Rock? And she's like, oh yeah. And then he just kind of leans forward, naked. And that's the end of the chapter. And it's just like, attaboy.
Yeah. Nice.
But they're real fun. Oh, he's great. I love that character.
Right.
Nice.
Well, I thought of another.
Okay.
And that's what I was doing on the phone. I was not ignoring you. I was like,
I wasn't going to call you out.
I have read some Jane Austen, and her stuff is like, they're romance novels, but
I haven't read any of it.
I listen to them because the writing is cumbersome for me, and so. But when I listen to a book, I don't absorb it quite as much. So I had to.
You don't get hung up on the elaborate.
Yeah, so I had a quick Google, but I really enjoyed Pride and Prejudice, and that relationship was great. If you can get through all the weirdness of it, it's basically like you've got Mr. Darcy and that bitch whose name I forgot.
Literally just
that quick, Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy, like they have their own, like they come together and they're kind of just like, man, fuck you enemies, thank you for the Derposaurus, earned that. So like they come together and they're just like, really seemingly incompatible, but through the course of the novel they kind of realize their own faults, fix the things in themselves. They have the self-reflection to be like, ooh,
that's kind of on me.
Perhaps I'm a bit of a dick, and maybe I over-exaggerated. So they fix themselves, and that frees them up to find a mutual understanding of each other, which then lets them be like, now that you have fixed your faults and I have fixed my faults, I kind of find you fascinating. And then they fall in love.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, so it's... I had to look it up to make sure that I was remembering that the way it was supposed to be. But yeah, it's like they kind of like, maybe I should work on myself because reasons.
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked that. That's nice self-reflection and growth and stuff.
So last one I want to talk about is In the Black Company by Glenn Cook. Mm-hmm. Croker and the Lady.
Which I just finished the first book of that again.
Yeah.
I almost put them on here, but
you have to read much farther into the series to really get it.
Yeah, but there's even stuff in the first book
where
you're just like,
the seeds are planted.
Yeah.
So in the Black Company, Croker basically becomes obsessed with the Lady. The Lady is basically Lady Sauron. Mm-hmm. She rules.
She's Lady Saruman.
Yeah, Lady Saruman.
I look at it
Lady Saruman. She's
the White Hand.
Well, just because she's not
she's
the most evil thing in the world.
Oh,
but
second most.
She damn close.
Her dead husband, her imprisoned under the ground husband.
He's dead. That sounds like dead.
No,
that's the problem.
That's the
that's the problem.
We should read this. Yeah,
I have it. I bought the omnibus.
He's imprisoned under the ground in a barrow with a bunch of wards around it
to keep him there.
To keep him.
They can't kill him.
Yeah, you can't really.
Please
kill.
stay
He's too
there.
powerful to kill. Well, she is his wife, and she broke out of the Barrowland and took some of the servants.
And instead of bringing him back up, she's like, "Nah, but you stay there."
Yeah.
Even she's like, "Ugh."
Relatable. Yeah.
And so he's called
and
the
then
Dominator.
she takes over the world.
Well,
Ooh,
so
also
she
relatable,
takes
yes.
over the northern continent, kind of deal. Has this empire. Well, they hire one of her servants, Soulcatcher, hires the Black Company. Croker is the analyst, and he becomes obsessed with the Lady because no one has ever seen her because except for her highest ranked servants, because to see her, you don't see her, you basically see just this eye peering into your soul, and she rummages around and gets
in your head,
or
just blinding light.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's obsessed with her,
goals.
and basically starts writing fan fiction about her.
He just looks at he's like, I think maybe this is what she's like. So he's like,
he writes these scenes of imagining what's the Lady doing tonight, kind of deal, and he reads them out, and people just are constantly making fun of him
about it.
Well, she finds out about it, and she
takes an interest in him.
But the power imbalance is so out, there's nothing could ever possibly. But he becomes somewhat of a pet, and it's one of those deals oh, you don't want to be the pet of the Dark Lord because her rewards are oh, I'll let you
try and assassinate this obscenely powerful
person. You can go along on that mission because I know you'd like to see it. You like writing things down. It's
I'm sure you want to see this.
Yeah, and of course he's the only person there with no magic, and a fart could kill him. But later in the series, she basically loses her power and decides to travel with the Black Company. He's I'm getting out. Fuck it, I'm getting out.
Yeah.
And they end up falling in love, and over the course of these books, they become this he quits being the analyst, someone else becomes the analyst, so it's quits being from his perspective. You see it from like these other people talking about like watching them, like how they can just like sit there in like silence together, but you just know like this very companionable silence and stuff like that, and just
That's
like
choice.
watching them grow together kind of deal. But like there's also the power dynamic of she was literally the Dark Lord of the North.
And he was just like
yeah.
a medic.
Yeah, and he was the
I
dig it.
analyst.
I
Yeah,
dig it.
it worked.
I dig it.
It's really cool. And then like they have a kid, and shit goes sideways with the kid, and it's a whole
a whole thing.
That's a whole thing, and just
I feel like that's what happens in relationships. You have a kid and things just go sideways.
well, this kid was
Let's. I don't
little
know.
unusual.
I was about to say I don't
A little
know.
unusual.
I haven't get that far,
Yeah.
so don't tell me.
so. But no, it was it was just it's basically it's a couple you see kind of grow old together. Like the arcs of the books go for so long that they know each other for a long time, and yada yada yada, and they yeah, it's neat.
Yeah,
Dig
I
it.
always liked that because like, or let me rephrase that. I realized I liked it because I've only read this book twice now. I read it the first time, and I like to give Bob shit about it because it's Bob's like favorite thing ever, so I have to.
Yeah.
But I read it again, and I was like, "Are we like, real quick sidebar? Are we entirely convinced that she didn't sleep with him in that first book?"
No,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did because there's one time
but
where
she can wipe his memory.
exactly because like she
Yeah.
brings him in for a meeting. It's like the first time they've ever really met, and then like the next thing he knows, he's walking out and he's like, "I feel weird.
Yeah.
I don't remember what just happened. What the hell's going on?" And then they're like, "Dude, that was like 7 hours ago.
Yeah.
Where the fuck were you?"
Yeah, it's. I don't think that that's what happened.
either,
I think
but
she spent that time
Rummage-
rummaging through his brain.
Yeah.
Is what I think.
Probably, but it's just one of those things
Or
like,
maybe she like talked to him like, and then like, okay, cool. Mind by
now that I've unburdened myself, I can just erase
Yeah.
that from your. Because I mean, who the fuck can she talk to?
right.
I feel like
her
I want to be her. Like the more you describe, the
Oh,
more
yeah.
this is
Oh, the lady is
yeah, the
great.
lady's.
Uh,
she's a trip. She's
yeah,
a
no,
thing.
she's
goals. She has goals. Big goals.
yeah. You just need to read.
Ruler with minions. I literally today in the car was like, I need minions.
Well, so her 10 minions are called the 10 who were taken. They're all super powerful wizards.
Perfect.
And about half of them are actively trying to kill her.
Yeah.
But
That'd
she's
be
just
like that.
more powerful.
It sounds like your workplace, right?
Oh, but they're all trying to kill me. Just not actively on purpose.
That's where
I don't think.
that's where your heart palpitations are coming from.
it is.
Yeah. Well,
My pulpins.
but
Pulpins.
so, anyways,
What
I've
does
got.
she? That's all I've got on my like relationships I really liked. So what you got, Derek?
Oh, slap open that notebook.
So those were another one that I really like for a very specific reason is Dinah and Quoth.
Okay. What do you
That's
like about it?
Mostly the fact that it's so fucked up.
Okay, I was going to say like
Yeah.
I
I
was like
thought
that's
about
a-
that. I was like, but that's not an enjoyable romance for me because it's so one-sided.
It's-
To
See-
me, I need to see where it goes. Like, so the Swords Point, Toxic had some real issues to it, but when I saw where it ended, I was very happy with it. I need to see where their relationship goes before I can really pass.
Well, see,
judgment.
I don't think it's like a good relationship. I just think it's a good representation of a type of relationship.
Yeah.
Where it's like these two people very obviously care for each other, but because of who they are, they're constantly sabotaging themselves.
Yeah.
And they can't get out of their own fucking way. And they just constantly fuck up over and over. And it's like, that is so believable. And it is a thing that I see so constantly that it's just like, yeah. I definitely... It's not a comfortable thing, but it is
Right.
a very well done thing.
Okay. I
See,
can agree
and
with that.
like
Relatable.
I've seen that a lot in books where it's like this is a relationship, but it's kind of fucky. Well, I have my own fucky relationships. I don't want to read about them. Like I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's not fun. Let me see a relationship.
It's
like,
catharsis.
oh, this
What are you
is where
talking about?
this is how it's supposed to be. Let me read that.
My thing is what I find most of the time is 9 times out of 10 relationships in fantasy books are rushed.
Yeah, like smushed.
It's like it seems like in
Now,
most
Keith.
fantasy books the romance is tacked on for word count almost. Like, okay, like, oh, I'm writing a fantasy thing, I need to throw a little romance in here. And
I don't think it's tacked in for word count. I think it's tacked in for checklist.
Yeah. And so no one tends to devote the time to the relationship that they should, because that's not the point of the book. The point of the book is I'm saving the world. Well, how about we don't
slow it down.
We don't have to have a romance arc in this. We can just save the world as buddies. You know?
You can get your dick wet in a book without having to be in a relationship.
Also, well, my thing is, I would rather, like, if you're going to do it, then put forth the effort. Like, if you're going to put forth the effort to weave all these interwoven strands to make this really intricate plot, like, you can do half as much for two people that are coming to appreciate and love each other in the same book.
Yeah.
I wonder what that says about the authors. Do they just not know how relationships work for real?
This is a long time passion of mine. It's like, it's literally just, that's not what the book is for. Like, fantasy books are like, they focus on plot and world building more than anything else. That's what differentiates them as a genre. So that's where all the focus is. So everything else is just, there's less time to put into that because you put so much time in the other two things. Whereas literary fiction, you put a lot more effort into characters.
Because, I mean, most of those are just set on Earth. You don't have to do much world building.
Exactly.
I'm so ready for y'all to start Blood Meridian and just hear if y'all like it or not. I don't know if y'all are going to like it.
So anyways. That's
seemingly out of place.
Well, because
it's literary fiction.
Yeah.
I assume.
And it's, but
we'll
all right.
We'll put a pin in that.
All right.
It may be the greatest American novel.
That's The Great Gatsby.
This may be the greatest American novel because it's the most fitting for America.
Gatsby is a real sad romance.
It is.
He
throws all these parties and has all these people over at his house because he's just a sad fucking sack because he can't have the girl he loves.
Yeah.
Well,
he leaves a green light. That's like a green light's always on at his place. He throws these like 24-hour parties. His place is the party pad because he's literally just drowning his pain.
Hey, that makes
Super
sense.
relatable.
Didn't Leonardo DiCaprio play him?
Yep.
Makes perfect sense. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Because I imagine that's how his life goes.
Well, before he won his Oscar, yeah.
No, even after, like, does he? Well, so I see what you did there.
No, but that's what I was saying. Is like that's what haunts Leo's dreams. Is just like people in gold suits forever. But he finally won one.
I just because he's a womanizer and doesn't.
Womanizer.
Stop!
Don't start
it.
A great song.
I know, but I don't want you to start.
Woo!
Oh, God.
You.
So stop. So another one that I really like. And this is
okay. So Denna, and
he's on to a new one.
Yeah, we're moving on. But that, that pretty much all I had to say about that was that. But another one I really like, and this is basically this is just me listing really well represented versions of different relationship type romantic entanglements. The Fitz Chivalry and the Fool. From the Farseer books and beyond. Like I forget the Elderling.
Realm of the Elderlings.
Yeah, right. So that's real good. And that's a really good representation of unrequited love, I guess is the way to put it.
Yeah.
Because Fitz is male. The Fool is male. The Fool is in love with him. He's not gay. So, like, he loves him as much as he possibly can love someone, but just not in a sexual way. So they're super, super close, but they can never, like, be as...
Make that leap.
Yeah, because Fitz is just like, I just can't. I don't.
Yeah.
And it's... So it's real sweet to see how much they care for each other and how much they mean to each other, but at the same time, it's...
So sad.
Yeah. Especially since...
They'll never fit together.
Well,
Don't be foolish, Bob. Pow. Yikes.
Get that fist bump, boy.
Derek, I'm sorry.
But yeah, it's real sad. Well, because like there's a scene like in the later books where like they have a big fight because on one hand Fitz kind of knows that like he's in love with him, like that the Fool loves him, but he won't admit it to himself, and they are having this conversation and basically get into this huge argument in the full like breaks down and is like, "What, do you want me to say it? Like, do I have to say it out loud and ruin our friendship?" Yeah, okay, fine. And then like they have this huge thing, and he's like, it's super real and super. It's a tough break, and the way it turns out, and it's just like,
Womp womp.
But it's also just really emotional and well done.
Yeah.
So that's super cool. And then the last one that I have is just Emergency Contact.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just a pretty realistic representation of the modern growth of a relationship through technology. Like people using other means to kind of grow their relationship rather than traditionally having to like be near each other all the time. Just kind of seeing how you can connect with somebody on like an emotional level before a physical level and stuff like that.
Well, I think it's just like what you said. It's just super appropriate, I guess, for modern times where you got all these like Tinders and eHarmonies and Bumbles and the Cupids and the Fishes, all the apps, the Craiglists. Oh no, they took the Craigslist people down.
Did they really?
Yeah. Human trafficking getting in the way. Oops.
You don't have to explain that to me.
For me, like my favorite app, probably calamari, fried calamari, maybe some mozzarella sticks.
Cheese fries.
Cheese fries.
Spinach artichoke dip.
No, hard no. But it's cheese
God.
fries.
So the best appetizer is the one that you order that's not really an appetizer, and it's barbecue nachos. Because like any barbecue place has barbecue nachos in the appetizer, but I'm gonna order that as my meal.
Well, that's what I get at Country's. I want cheddar bacon fries.
Well,
It's an appetizer. Bitch, that's a whole ass meal.
It is. It
yeah,
really
and when
is.
we go to fucking Hooks,
Hooks.
I've only done it the once when I went with y'all, but like man, I
they're nachos.
really want those nachos again.
Yeah.
Let's go to Hooks.
I'm down.
All right.
Right now, let's go.
All right. Well, we ended up having enough examples there that we don't need to really dive into why Tanya hates romance.
We've kind of talked about it where, in a lot of fantasy, it just feels like it's stomped in there.
Yeah.
And it's not executed well, and it feels like they're just
And she's an android.
mushed together.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
And feelings are stupid.
I have such interesting.
You can save the world without a boy.
Well, yeah, but
Can you?
Bloody Rose did. She
no,
saved.
she didn't. Not without a boy.
Yeah.
Oh, she had her rabbit man.
Yeah,
But she
he
was
was-
also fucking ladies, so. And she was high all the time. Whoops.
But yeah, no.
Poor
I
example.
say that to say that like we didn't have to dive into like more bigger picture stuff.
Yeah,
And
we
we
had
can
enough.
save those for a later date. Talk some bigger picture
look.
picture issues.
Give me a reason to think about things, and
Yeah.
I will
So
run my fucking mouth.
in the coming week, as you take a shot from a shot glass surrounded by a bunch of tiny little cat statues,
Judgmental cats.
judgmental cats. Wow, they are very judgy looking.
Right?
Holy shit!
I told you.
I just thought they were super concentrating.
Well, that one's a little curious looking, and that one.
Well, that one's the one that's going to get killed.
That one. There's something off with that one, but that one is hateful.
Right? That was the one I was looking at.
It's all
yeah.
of the personalities of a cat.
Little
So
derpy. lot of
evil.
hate.
So evil, 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 and
he's
evil.
Sweet. Look at his
no.
face, little sweet baby.
Wow. Okay.
That
So
was
Serial
taking
killer.
a nap.
serial killer. Yeah. So as you take a shot from the little circle of judgmental cats, I hope that the liquor is smooth and gives you just the good warming burn as it settles into your tum tum, where you got that good Chick-fil-A mac.
Oh, the Mac I didn't get.
And may
breaks my heart.
may the blessing of the beard be upon you.
Mac. Thanks for listening to this episode of Books, Beards, Booze. Our co-hosts are Bob, Derek, and Tanya. Our producer is Bob. For more information, visit our website, booksbeardsbooze.com. Follow our social media at Tales by Bob. If you enjoyed this podcast, please rate, subscribe, and share. Okay, bye.